Hello again. John Mears is with me again today, and we are continuing our conversation about this beautiful soul, John's daughter, who has passed beyond the veil. But since she has passed, she is delivering messages to him that is worthwhile for all of us to read this book. I will put a link down below, including Angela's foundation, which that will be there as well. Welcome, John. I'm Kate Lovingshank. This is John Mears. Hello. Yes.
Hello, Kate. It's so good to see you.
Oh,
And I
always.
really mean that. I'm not just blowing smoke. It's really good to see you. Uh,
Always good to see you, John.
as probably some of you know already, Kate and I knew each other quite well. No, actually, we did not. We were just acquaintances in high school and so forth. But since our daughter passed, we've sort of reconnected, and it's just been this wonderful discovery.
Well, let me just say, though, that I always knew what you were up to, even though you and I mean, not far beyond before high school.
I hope not everything.
Uh, your parents would not have known everything, but they did. My mother was very interested, and so was Dorothea and Hal Williams were very interested in what you were doing with your life.
Well, you know that's a whole digression. But uh, I think that you and I, Kate, have been very blessed with a an inner GPS that has been always sort of steering us back in the direction of spirituality, which I believe and feel even more strongly now that our daughter has passed, that the spirit is the reality and that this is all a temporary, a fascinating and problematic illusion. But the ultimate reality, I think, is the spiritual, is pure spirit or pure love, which is the title of the book.
Well, I
Same
think
thing.
oh, there's something about not embracing the spiritual into our physical reality that I think tortures people.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I just took a walk outside a little while ago, and as I was walking, this image came to mind of the Amish buggy with a horse that has blinders like this.
Mhm,
Now,
mhm.
I think most people go through life with those blinders, and those blinders have a purpose, which is to avoid distractions and being startled and thrown off from what they have to do as a human being. But those blinders can also keep us from seeing the bigger picture. And
Right.
the bigger picture is that we are spiritual beings and we are capable of so much more, and we have so much more power and so much more potential and so many more choices than we have been given to believe. Um, uh, the old paradigm was basically binary. You're with us or you're against us. You're with God or you're against God. You're with the church or you're against the church. You're with the king or against the king. Um, and you're male or female. You know, you're good or you're bad. And,
Duality.
right? But
Yeah.
it's I think increasingly clear, especially with the new models of science, especially quantum physics, that the the possibilities are really mind blowing and essentially endless. And so if we can educate ourselves to expand the sense of what is possible and find the best what for the outcomes that we want that ultimately will serve us and the world and the universe.
Yes. So, did you find all of this before Angela's passing, or have you been feeling this more acutely now?
Uh, both. It's not either or.
Uh-huh.
Um, uh, Before Angela passed, I had been on a lifelong journey that really started when I was maybe 19. Well, before that, um, of looking more deeply within life, within myself, within um, recorded, literature and history of what is true, what is desirable, how should we live, how can we live, what's the best way forward, um, and that has been largely an inner journey that's involved a lot of therapy, a few psychedelic drugs along the way, um, a lot of meditation, study, reading, but I had already begun to feel very strongly that the spiritual life is the most important part of us. But when Angela passed, that was reinforced because she had become a purely spiritual being, and the only way that I could contact her was by entering a spiritual consciousness. And that spiritual consciousness gave so much comfort and joy and peace, and a sense of companionship with her, a feeling of her beautiful new reality. For her, it was new because she was a very, very worldly, sometimes foul-mouthed, and uh, you know, sometimes rather nasty girl. I just lost sound from
I
you.
think I think in some cases she might have been opinionated and
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, she was, and I would say she still is. But her opinion now is that the human race needs to basically shit or get off the pot.
oh yeah,
We really need to stop kind of dithering and embrace the best of what we are, the best of what we understand, the best data that we have, the best knowledge, the best of within us, um, and move forward with that, and let go of a lot of the old shit.
yes. That would be probably one of the major teachings that she is imparting, I think.
Yeah,
Um, I think we can all learn so much from after death communication or death. And that's always been a fascination of mine. And I was raised with those ideas, but it's not how everybody is raised. And people don't particularly like to even think about the fact that they're going to die or that anybody's going to die. But it is a reality, and it's something we would be so much better served by embracing that, and that there is no death, and the body is like something that people just drop after, you just drop the body. It's amazing to think about.
it's a vehicle,
Yes.
a very important one. Now, my sense of it, her sense of it, and from my study, the sense of it is also that the human body is a very special instrument, really. By the way, if you notice the weird colors, different
Yeah,
colors,
yes.
I have a screensaver here that has a very cool psychedelic visualization. It's always changing colors, so you'll see different colors.
I do see
It's not
that.
that I'm like anyway. Uh, every day when I'm meditating, new stuff keeps coming in. I mean, it's a river. Um,
Mhm.
and some of it comes in the form of almost like lectures. Some of it's more like a dialogue. Sometimes it'll be a response to a mood or a feeling or something my wife said. But it's so refreshing to me. It really has kind of been almost like a lifeboat, really,
Or
and I'm very grateful.
is that coming from Angela or
Yeah,
yeah.
but what she says is that she's with a team. It's not just her. That she is almost continuing in a way the work that she was doing before she passed. She was a creative. Uh, what's the word? Like she represented a company, um, Weber Shandwick, which does marketing and PR, and they represent clients, which to sort of promote the brand, to launch a new product, to put the company and the products in the best possible light. But what I feel she's doing now is she's doing that with the spiritual realm, with the spiritual potential within us, to kind of say, hey, guys, first of all, I'm not dead, okay?
Yes.
So please talk about me in the present tense. So when I say died, I mean, when anybody says died, it's, I like how you put the quotes on our first interview. It's true. Nobody dies. Nobody dies. Bodies die, but that is not who we are. It's what we carried around. It's the suit that we wore. It's the car that we drove. It's the bicycle that we rode on, but it's not us.
Yes. Isn't that something though? It's really hard to make those separation. It's hard to make those separations, but because there are no separations. So
Well, there are, and the separations have a purpose. But the ultimate reality is there is no, what you're talking from the ultimate level, Kate. You're talking from the level of what's called Brahman, or the one pure spirit, the pure love that unifies, that is the essence of everything. That's beyond the personal, beyond the individual. It's just unimaginably great, and I mean, it's like nothing can be said about it.
That's true too.
Because it's so,
Yeah. I was going to say too that people can use this book as an act of divination, which means, let me just say for those who may not know, that you just take the book or any spiritual book that you love and open it to a page, and that is what you're supposed to be reading.
You want to do that now?
Right now it says, Angela, you mentioned pure love over and over again, but in many parts of the world, hate seems to be getting more prevalent. And she says, which is why we need this book. And she says, this campaign. Yeah, I mean, the point is that pure love has to start now. Not, and it does start at death for many people. But if they're not preparing for it, then I think it becomes a little overpowering for them.
Well, one of the things that's very interesting, you probably have seen some of the YouTube videos of interviews with people who have had NDEs or near-death experiences. And one of the most common elements that keeps recurring is they didn't believe anything. They didn't have any sort of spiritual practice or system or anything, but they had this experience. And one of the things that Angela's been emphasizing recently is that everything is experience for us. That's all we have. The only thing we really have is our experience. You have that, you're in that house, you have that house, but the house is not really yours, because when you die, where's the house? Well, it's not yours anymore, is it? Well, you had the experience of that house. You have the option of living in that house as long as you want, doing anything you want in that house, but it's only the option to experience that. It's not you don't really have the house.
Yeah.
Even the body, even your body, you experience, right? Everything is only experience.
The body. Yeah, not my body. Yes, it's so true. I mean, so it's a good way to detach from the mundane world. So,
Well, I think it's a perspective that sort of lifts us out of the kind of drudgery of this is all there is. And you just gotta get used to it because it's a fucking pain in the ass, you know? And a lot of people carry that attitude their entire lives. There's a sort of a cynicism, a sort of, well, you just got to do whatever every need to get what you want. If you get what you want, then you're a success, you know? But look what people do to get what they want. And the ugliness and the destruction and the devastation and misery that they cause.
yes, possessions are not going to do it for anybody. There might be a momentary whatever, especially in anticipation of getting,
Hmm.
but once you,
Hmm.
just a profound sense of emptiness, in my opinion.
I agree. Christmas time was for me like the biggest, like, oh, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get this. And then you get it's like, oh, you
Yeah,
know, okay, now what? Right?
yes.
And
The,
I've also seen that in stories of famous people. I think that John Travolta said at one point that becoming successful took away from him almost everything he enjoyed about his life.
well, because of the paparazzi and having no life of your own. Yeah,
Exactly.
yes. Well, it's a difficult lesson for people to learn who are famous. They may have really wanted to be famous, but then
Yeah.
a terrible,
And they sacrifice a lot to get there. And
yeah.
then they get there. It's like, you know, our daughter was very, uh, you know, I hope she forgives me for saying this, but she was very greedy. I mean, she wanted more and more money, 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 money. And so she took this job in New York City that was much more money, much more power, much more prestige, visibility, and it was like up the corporate ladder. She was so miserable in her
Oh.
final months, in her last 6 months of her physical life. She wrote often to her friends in text messages. She'd be on a plane and say, "I hope this plane crashes."
Well, this is interesting. Very interesting because I am, as you know, a nurse. I mean, once a nurse, always a nurse. I was a nurse for a long time, but also I was more into integrative methods of healing. And
Mm-hmm.
really, if this was her attitude before she died, for even 6 months of her life, that sets the stage for what happened to her.
It does. My father,
That's not
who
a
is, you
judgment,
know,
not a judgment.
right? Yeah, absolutely. What my father, as you know, my dad was an MD, and he treated thousands of people and saved hundreds of lives. And he said that uh, I actually we're having a very interesting conversation at one point. I said, Dad, can you tell me what's the single most um, determinative or indicative symptom or cause or whatever that you see as a commonality of whether a person will live or die? What affects the prognosis more than anything else?
The will to live.
Yes. He said, do they want to live or not?
Yep. And that's everything, isn't it?
Well, almost. Yeah, it's a lot. Um,
It's not everything. I mean, but I do believe that if people realize that when they say things like, boy, I wish this plane would crash. My husband was one who didn't have a tremendous will to live, and my brother really didn't either. I mean, in the sense, what I mean by that is they were willing to die at any moment because they were not enamored by this crazy world we live in. And you can't look outside of ourselves at the physical to gain any kind of insight, really.
well,
It's
again, I'm always devil's advocate with you, Kate. You'll see me always saying, yeah, but, right? Right. So my yeah, but is this world, this physical world that we're in, is a brilliant interactive educational system. It's an educational program. It teaches us. We see patterns. We learn cause and effect. We see repercussions and all kinds of things. And then also the mystery of it. Uh, there's so much of this baffling. It's just like, what the fuck, you
Yeah.
know? And so all of those things are to me brilliant in terms of teaching us along the way, because in a way, the mystery, it creates suspense. I studied screenwriting for years, and I was briefly a modestly successful screenwriter that nothing ever got made except a few little commercials. But the thing is that suspense is part of what keeps us kind of, well, what is it? What is it? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? And that suspense is part of what teaches us as as we go through this life as a soul, as a spiritual being, learning. Even though we most of it, I think we forget that we're spiritual beings. We
Yeah.
forget, like, I'm just this meat, I'm just this nose and whatever, you know. But the spiritual part of us slowly wakes up, and then it's almost like the seed in the dirt that starts to sprout and find its way to the light.
Yes, it's a privilege and an honor to be thinking like that, whereas so many people are in a panic mode, especially
Yeah,
as we head towards this election. There's a lot of panic. And the
yeah.
point is that we have to have faith in whatever it is that is happening in the moment. To think that everything is in the future in a negative way like that is very debilitating to your psyche, not yours, but anybody's psyche.
Yeah, well, including I can also be panicked, but
Me too.
uh, yeah, right. But there's an interesting point about what you were just saying about how panic can be disabling. Panic can incapacitate us. Um, One of the things that surprised me was to learn that the meditation that I do, which is transcendental meditation, taught by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, um, meditation, some form of it was taught to soldiers in the old, Indian military, because before battle, they needed to be calm. They needed to have a clear head and move forward strategically, not irrationally.
That would be the
Um,
story of the Bhagavad Gita.
yes, exactly. Yes, perfect. Because in the Bhagavad Gita, you have Krishna telling Arjuna, to collect yourself and stand up and fight, but first you must find the infinite within yourself. Find the calm that comes with knowing that you are pure spirit and
Yeah,
that you cannot die.
that's right. Yes. Yeah, I think judging from what you just told me about Angela's state of mind before her death, I think that is fascinating. I can't even begin to tell you
Mm.
because it reflects a lot of where the younger people are at and older people, but just probably the human condition is at.
Hmm.
It's a balancing act in order to balance the physical with the spiritual and to realize that the breath that you breathe is actually is prana. It's spiritual, and if you can hang on to the breath, I think that's all you really need to do.
Well, the breath, in almost every health system or spiritual teaching, in Chinese it's qi, and in Japanese they call it ki. There's all these words for it, but breath. When a person dies, some people are, and even some instruments have been able to show it like a vapor leaving the body.
Oh yes, I've seen that.
Yes, and that is well, I think what Paramahansa Yogananda would have called the etheric body,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because there's all these levels, right? You
Yes.
have the physical, and then just above that is the etheric, which is the breath, and but the starting to be spiritual part of us, and then beyond above that, what Yogananda calls the astral level, which is just the spirit, but not like a high spirit, just sort of the person's individuality, the spiritual individuality, and then it keeps getting up and up, and Angela says that she is at basically at the astral level, where you have ancestors, people passed on, teachers, angels. There's astral angels, um, and messengers that can come from higher levels and sort of share stuff at the astral level. And I'm able in my meditation, I I at least fantasize
Mhm.
that this is the case, um, to receive some of that communication and write it down. So the chair that you really can't see over there's a nice easy chair where I use my phone and close my eyes, rest, and often when I'm meditating, and these messages will come in, and I start either I will dictate, or dictating is often very problematic, so I will just type it in. And it's just been a steady river, a
Aha.
steady stream.
So you're getting those are the messages you're getting from Angela.
Yes, but not just her, but her team,
Her
because
team.
there's a voice, or a sense of her as an individuality, which is becoming more abstract as the time goes on. Um, but also other teachers who are from a higher plane, I think, in some cases, who are kind of working with her as almost like the PR rep or the spokesperson. You know, she's like the spokesperson for the higher realms in a way, which
Yes.
is very cool. I mean, it's like, oh, this is great stuff, you know?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I just wanted
I
to
feel, yeah, go ahead.
to the people who are listening, the greatest the greatest spiritual book ever written was by Paramahansa Yogananda, The Autobiography of a Yogi. And it's even to this day, people have not heard of it. And to read
Mm,
it, the best.
mm, it's great.
Om.
Yeah. I also highly recommend Emmanuel's book,
Yes.
because Emmanuel's book uh, is a little bit like the Angela thing in a way, and it's almost like like in the same lineage, I guess, because
I agree.
Emmanuel's
Mhm.
yeah, because Emmanuel's book, for me it was life changing, because I was in a terrible sort of emotional state, feeling kind of lost in the world in a way, and Emmanuel's book is very comforting. It's this beautiful being of light named Emmanuel who visited this woman. I guess it was Pat Rodegast,
Yes.
or Judith Stanton. I'm not sure which one was the direct recipient. But they one of them was meditating, and this beautiful being of golden light, came into her inner vision and started to say all this stuff. And the stuff is wonderful. It's just very simple and graceful, and basically the message is forgiveness.
Yeah.
To forgive yourself, do you know, and stop resisting life. That life is a force that's flowing through you, and it basically it's all good.
Yeah. Have you ever done the Course in Miracles? A Course in Miracles.
No, I have not, but I have a very warm feeling about Marianne Williamson. A friend of mine recommended it, but I never did that.
Well, of course, she's
Uh
not the author of that book, um, but it was received through mediumship by, I
huh.
can't remember her name right now. And I've been doing it with a group for
Ah,
I've been doing it for years. I think I started
ah,
in 1979, but it has traditional religious terminology in there, which
yeah,
turned so many people off until, yeah,
turned me off.
it does turn me off too, until after a while you go through it, um, and beyond it. And it really,
Mhm.
the whole thing is forgiveness. That's the whole thing, is forgiveness and pure love. That's the whole point of that book. But I can't read some of it because it feels like gibberish.
Well, and also, I just, from the parts that I read and saw of it, it just seems so much like a rehash of Judeo-Christian stuff, um, which per se is not a bad thing. I don't consider it a bad thing, but it has all this baggage for me personally. It's like a trigger because I just feel that the Christian teaching, which started out as this wonderful, pure love message of forgiveness and kindness and mercy and God's love for everybody, and don't react with violence and all this stuff. It's just become some totally different. And so that all these people waving the Bible and voting for a guy who seems to be the antithesis.
Yeah, it's not true Christianity.
I don't think it is, but who am I?
Well, I've always thought about it, and true Christianity is humility, what Jesus represented, the Christ consciousness of pure love
And
and
healing,
healing, and not treating people like pieces of shit.
right? Right. Yeah. And that the kingdom of God is within you.
Within is yes, yes, yes,
And when you pray, do not go to the public spaces and but go to the quiet place.
yes.
You
The
know,
still quiet.
I think for me the Quakers and the Unitarians have it right much more so than. But anyway, I don't want to get into Christian
I just thought,
doctrine or
the thing
theology.
the thing is, A Course in Miracles, though, is that it is forgiveness and pure love, and and you can't always feel it when you read it, but the more you do it every day, you practice throughout the day, and suddenly, you just feel like you're more in a feeling of reverence for life.
Well, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's deep stuff.
Yes. So
Yeah.
1980 until now is about
Wow.
how long I've been doing it. Yeah.
Good for you.
And I can't say that it's always been done with when you ever start something new, there is something, but I have stuck with it and I have persisted with it, and I think it is a wonderful, wonderful teaching.
Well, beautiful. Well, I think you're a good example of it.
I've done it a long time, yes. Oh, I know what you're
So,
saying. I know
yeah.
what you're, yeah. Because as soon as I start judging, I know I have just started judging. And that's the whole point, to get rid of the judgment and making assumptions and having expectations and thinking you're in control. All these things have to be relinquished.
Well, I think there's an element of control that we need with ourselves.
Yes,
But
yes.
but the error is when we I've seen a lot of people do this where they lose control of themselves to take control of others.
Yes.
Like you know, uh, and by scaring people with their sudden sort of hawk moment, if you will, um, they suddenly learn, oh, people are now listening to me. People now do what I want. They come in with a gun. Oh, everybody, on the floor. Oh, they get what they want. Um, long-term repercussions, not so good necessarily.
No, no. Well,
You
and
know,
it's recently occurred to me that we do live in a country that perceives itself as the most powerful country in the world. We have the most powerful economy, the most powerful military, the most powerful this, the most powerful that. It's the best country, blah, 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 blah. And, I just realized, I don't know what took me so long, but, we do love this country, but we have to realize that in a democracy, which is what we want to uphold as we go forward, that the democracy is for us to create within ourselves and to keep ourselves in tune with it so that it doesn't disappear. And this is the moment in time when we have to realize that this is the pivotal moment, and we can't allow to lose focus on that again. Now, I don't know what that means exactly. I mean, what am I supposed to do every day to uphold our democracy? I have to figure that out, but
Yeah, I think each one of us does. And I do think that many of the people who support the male candidate in this race think that they are fighting to save our country and to save the Christian religion and to save the white race. I think there's
yeah, it's a dying thing. Hey, honey.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them are very sincere in believing that they are doing the right thing, and that we who are supporting the woman of color are polluting our country, and that this is their last chance to save our country from the others.
Yes.
But
well, like I said, it's the last dying breath of that idea. And the point is when they did the last census, and it proved that probably in another number of years there aren't even going to be any white people, which is such a relief.
Well, no, I again, devil's advocate, I don't think that's really true, that white people will not be the majority.
That's right.
Which I think is perfect. That because I came to LA as a white man from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. And I looked around, saw all these brown people. I was like, oh my God, who are all these brown people? Oh my God. And I had this like shock about it. But long story short, I've done like a complete 180 where now if I just see a group of white people, I'm like,
well,
is this
I like working with the indigent. I liked working with people who had soul. And one time I had worked with a bunch of white supremacists for about a year. And, the patients were all it was in Southern York County, which, as you may imagine, very, very racist. And I thought, oh my God, this is not where I want to be. And so finally I did get a job that I really loved with people who needed help.
Well, they need help too. But I've observed over the course of my 70 plus years that people often do not change until things get really, really bad. And there's so many ways that things can get really, really bad.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, it was being racist and confronting a Latino in an alleyway and getting my jaw broken.
Ooh.
And then going to therapy after that experience with my jaw wired shut and 35 stitches. I still have dental issues because of that attack.
But this is right here, the TMJ.
Exactly. Yeah. And I still have pain from it.
Do massage.
Uh-huh. All right. I'll do it while we talk.
Me too. I'll translate to you.
Thank you. But things got really bad because I couldn't work for all that time. I couldn't eat. All my food was through a straw. And I was in therapy, still am. And I realized that my attitude was very passive aggressive, judgmental, and racist.
Uh-huh.
Um,
That's a good thing
and
to learn. Then you can turn it
yeah,
around.
and even as a teacher, I mean, I ended up teaching mostly Latino people, brown people. And it was just such a joy. I mean, there's so much love and so much vibrancy and so much kindness and intelligence in those people. Uh, but I see with Trump and his followers, there's this terrible fear of them. That
Yes, the universe was giving you a gift to work that out.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Perfect.
yes. But also, my favorite saying is, "We make what we want out of everything." And so the universe gave me the gift, but I think some people would take that, those fucking Latinos, I'm going to get them. And at one point, I was actually in my room. I saw the guy that hit me in the alleyway
No.
a few days later, and I had a 357 Magnum in my apartment, and I had it in my hand, thinking I can go and take care of this business right now. But because I was raised Quaker,
Right.
because I spent years meditating and had many friends, who really wanted me to be okay. And all the people I thought who would, if I did go out in the alley and shoot that guy, um, the ripples of that, you know. And so I put the gun down and went into therapy. Um,
Good for
and
you.
the therapy really, in many ways, I think saved my career and my life,
Yeah.
because I learned how to communicate in a non it to be assertive without being passive aggressive or accusatory or you
Right.
know
Yeah. Oh boy, that's
so
hard. It's a non-violent communication is what people
yes,
need to learn. Yeah.
yes, exactly,
Because
and
it
and
turn it
yeah,
around.
yes. And instead of like coming in with all this kind of negative energy, I'm like, well, how can we work together to make this better?
Mm-hmm.
How can we communicate with each other? I understand this about you, and I can understand this. And why don't you tell me your side of this? Sort of,
Yes.
Uh, and anyway, why are we talking about that?
Well, there's a reason for everything.
Exactly, there is.
And certainly as we grow up, uh, we had many lessons to learn. And as Mark Twain would say, um, what is it? Youth is wasted on the young.
Yeah, but yeah, in that case, I can't say but. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I feel much better now than I did when I was young. I was just a rebellious mess. And
Well,
I
but
don't,
but but I uh, I think that we need to go through the darkness to find the light. I think we have to go through hell to get to heaven. We have to get through the negativity and the rebellion to find a more workable way forward.
that's right.
Um, you know,
Yes,
and until we do, unless we do experience what we might call negative, the positive really has no meaning.
right. I know. I mean, it's all a beautiful learning experience. And this is the school that we are in.
Yeah.
Learn these things.
Yes.
But then
Uh,
again, where Angela is still a school.
yeah.
Um,
But what one of her favorite things that she says over and over is how important this human life is. That
yeah,
this is where we really learn stuff. That the gravity of Earth is like training weights on our soul. That it makes it stronger. That if you just kind of go out there, walking, yeah, you'll get some exercise. But if you go out with weights on, it'll really give you a workout. And so the gravity of Earth and the gravity of so many situations and so many seemingly impossible dilemmas that we face now are, in a way, the perfect learning tool for us as souls, as spiritual beings.
I know. That's a good point. we are weighted down, but we could even be more weighted. The intention. I'm sorry, this dog is distracting me.
I love your dog.
He's a, he's a
Yeah.
beautiful soul. I also recommend animals and
Oh,
people,
yeah.
and there's nothing.
Oh, how cute.
He is my boy.
Yeah, he is. Ugly little thing, but
An ugly
is,
thing.
is he a French bulldog?
He is a Boston Bulldog.
A Boston bulldog.
Yeah,
Boston.
Boston Terrier. And
Got
he's
it.
so ugly that he's cute.
Exactly. Yeah, that is the charm of those bulldogs and the pugs and so forth.
And I think
Yeah.
animals are so important for people when there's something as devastating, really, as what you experienced. When my husband died, I had these dogs, and I recently got him though, but I think that they have helped me be as cheerful as I can be in face of what it is that we're here for.
Well, it's very interesting that you mentioned animals because my wife used to hate cats. But after Angela passed away, we started to have these experiences of these stray cats started coming around more. And one in particular who used to always be very skittish would come to our door and sit there and like just be like, I'm here. Now you take care of me, okay? And very friendly. And we have videos of that cat like rubbing itself against the screen. And we pet the cat, but it's a stray. I mean, no, it's a feral cat.
Feral cat.
Right? It's never been in human. It's never been domesticated, but it has started to give us so much comfort.
Yeah.
And when we don't see it for a few days, we worry about it.
Yeah.
Because I think our own mammal nature, the mammal aspect of our being, is also one of our greatest teachers. Right? I mean, how to be loving. I mean, under difficult circumstances. I mean, it's easy for angels to love each other because there's no resistance, there's no obstacle, there's nothing. It's like whatever. I love you. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But here it's like when you love somebody, there's all these problems that can come up.
Yeah.
And all these reasons not to love that person. And without all those reasons, it really doesn't mean anything.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So Eckhart Tolle wrote a book about animals and how they are pure love. And I believe that they are cats and dogs and probably any animal at all. So, I mean, and also going through your day and having certain connections with the wild animals outside of ourselves, they can really be teaching us too. Have you ever seen everything that the book that changed our lives? Every time we would see an animal outside, we would identify it and then look and see what the symbolism was for our message of the day. And that's interesting practice also.
Well, did I tell you about the dragonflies?
No.
Oh my God. We used to have maybe every year one dragonfly, maybe two, would come and crisscross over our swimming pool. And then after Angela passed, there were two, and then there were three, and then there were four, and there was a red one and a blue one. And they became very, almost aggressively friendly with us. Especially the blue one. The blue one would come and sit, like when I'd be swimming during the summer, it would come and sit on a flower overlooking the pool, and then it kept moving closer, and finally it was on a flower as far away as my hand, um, which is like maybe 2 feet away from my face. And then it came and landed. I was scooping dirt out of the pool with a big strainer. It landed on the strainer. I have a video of this blue dragonfly right like this. It's just kind of like
What was
it's like
what was Angela's favorite color?
she loved yellow. She
Uh,
loved yellow. Um, she wore a lot of red. She liked black. Um, uh, but yellow was probably her number one.
yes. Well, that is interesting about those dragonflies. And that was a visitation. Yes, yes.
I feel bad. I kind of miss the dragonflies, to be honest with you. But I feel Angela here
Yeah.
a lot of the time, even right now, really. It's a fresh energy. It's a what she brought into my life was a new optimism in a way, a new confidence,
Mhm.
which was her is how she, you know, she worked. She just when she was in the human body, she just blew people away all the time.
Mhm.
All these people that met her, even just briefly, they say, "Oh my God, who was that?" Because she just had this presence and this spectacular physical beauty, but also there was something about her that was just so magnetic and so brilliant,
Right,
and she still is.
right.
Um, one of her, I want to tell you one little anecdote. When she first started working, there was a woman that she was working with named Heidi that she didn't like. Heidi was a little bit like above her and sort of almost like her supervisor. And every time we'd pick Angela up at the airport, she would say, "Oh, Heidi this, Heidi that," you know. Well, Heidi came to the celebration of life after Angela passed, and and Heidi gave the most moving and insightful, penetratingly um, understanding speech about Angela. She
Mm.
said words to this effect: "In my heart, I believe that Angela had to leave us to do something more important." She said Angela had this luminosity that would light the way in times of darkness or confusion. And now I feel that she has gone to a much more luminous, and that the exact word that she used was luminous, uh, mission.
Mhm.
And I feel that that's what this is. I feel this book, you know, is Angela bringing her luminosity to a new level. As a PR representative, she could, you know, work with corporations and sort of put lipstick on a pig, so to speak.
Yes.
But now
Very
she's,
talented person.
oh
Very
my God, oh
talented.
my God, yeah. Now she's putting lipstick on God.
So what are your most recent messages from Angela?
Well, they're on my phone. You could pause it for a moment. I can try to get it from my computer screen, which is right here. You want to pause for a moment?
I think I can do that. Yes.
Yeah, right now is fine.
So John's going to tell us something that Angela has told him in the last 5 days.
Well, actually, this will be from October 22nd.
Okay.
which was a very productive day. But this came through at 3:32 p.m. Pure love is a simple flame that burns in every particle of the universe. Whether felt or not, it burns in every heart. Whether or not it is recognized for what it is, pure love shines in every eye, in the moonlight, in starlight, in sunlight, and in every galaxy. It is the source of all life and the deathless love that makes a lie of every death.
Oh, that's
Pure
that.
love, pure love lives in every living thing and survives all illnesses, deaths, and catastrophes. It is why we never need to fear or worry about anything or anyone. It is a pure and exquisite light in everyone and everything, everywhere, forever.
Well, I think that the more we tune into those words, the more fruitful and meaningful our lives will be.
I feel so blessed and honored to be able to.
Well, that's an amazing, what you just read is just purely amazing.
And who does this?
She
I,
does, and you do, because you are the vehicle. That whole thing about in every molecule, it's in every star, if we can live like that, we have to do this, John. This is what we have to do.
this is our mission, Kate.
I'm excited.
Okay, let me read a little bit more.
Okay.
And I haven't really sort of vetted this, if you will, but so you're hearing this for the first time, okay?
Sure.
At 3:45 p.m., uh, uh, October 22nd. We have so much more power to choose than we realize. People who say I had no choice are always lying. Our mission, Daddy, is to activate the power of pure love in this world. And in so doing, we shall be invincible.
Oh,
Leave it to other people to start wars, interfere with nature, and worry about things that they cannot change. Our mission is to spread the message and the vibration of pure love in this world.
well, that's just what we were talking about.
Yeah. When people worry, when people worry about things, they are kind of saying that they have no power to change them. So if they cannot change them, why waste their energy worrying?
There's a good point. Well,
So everybody, don't worry. Accept and embrace the pure love that is your essence. Express the pure love with words and actions of kindness and generosity. Express that pure love in patience, understanding, and empathy. Celebrate that pure love in everything you do. When you feel overwhelmed by Earth's gravity, remember that planet Earth is only a tiny speck of dust in the universe. You, on the other hand, are the divine seed of pure love with the potential to create future universes in a team of other loving souls. Allow the immensity of this understanding to blow your mind and open your soul to its own infinite nature.
Wow. I love it. I do. I really do. Wow. Well, I see that she is imparting a lot of information for you. Downloading it, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's endless, Kate. It's endless, and it's so beautiful. And these little synchronicities and these little almost like whispers from the universe saying, "Yeah, just keep going. Don't worry, and trust the universe." I wanted to talk about faith because you were mentioning faith earlier.
Yes,
Okay.
go ahead.
Now, before this happened, I was a person without faith. I did not believe in anything. I only trusted my own experience, what I saw, what I could feel, what I could, what I could hear. And even those things I wasn't sure about. But there was something that with Angela that there's a sense of confidence. To me, faith in a way is confidence in and trust and confidence in the universe, in the pure love that is at the heart of the universe. And that faith allows us to do things that we would otherwise shy away from, that we would put off or avoid or um, procrastinate about. I actually felt like Angela was pushing me. See this thing right here?
Yes.
It's a recording device that I'm using to record these things, and I'm going to start posting those on our website. We have a website, angelasbook.com,
Yeah, good.
just one word, and I'll start sharing. What I found is that hearing these words is, in a way, more powerful and more comforting and more nourishing than reading it. Because when you're reading, your cerebral cortex is activated and you're going to the optic nerve and all this, analysis, and it's sort of it's sort of a brainy thing. But when you listen, there's something more on the heart level. It's more on the soul. It's like something you feel more than think. So I'm going to be doing more and more of this.
What is that
Why is this
thing?
so? This is it's a Zoom voice recorder.
Okay, I want to show you. Those things are very valuable for recording dreams and really Angela is her thing is sort of dreamlike, you know.
Yeah.
Claude Note does the same thing.
Oh yeah. There you go. Uh-huh. Yeah.
I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, the way I usually do it, the way I have been doing it, is to write it first. But I think I might start to record it first. But when I write it, it's like there's a calm about it that I can then, you know, share. When I have a great deal of residual sort of hardwired anxiety from a very traumatic childhood. So there's part of me that gets kind of nervous when I'm like talking, you know, with just out of nothing. But when I write it down, there's sort of like, oh, okay. And also, I can feel her when I write.
Oh, that makes
When I'm speaking, yeah,
you think it's like automatic writing.
yeah, it is a kind of, and I've been doing that for decades, Kate. It really started in the late '90s, but it came more and more starting in the early aughts, and it just kept sort of more and more. I have entire, I have mountains of paper, handwritten notes, and I transitioned to actually doing it on my phone, so that I would have it be in the cloud. And if God forbid the house burns down, there will be some record of it.
Right.
But wow, okay.
Wow, wow, wow. I'm so excited that we can continue igniting pure love into our own lives and how to practice it, and we
Mhm,
can continue the discussion. And
mhm.
really, when you think about what is in this book and what our conversation was like today, we are essentially eradicating the fear of death.
Yeah, we are. We are also reminding people of what they are,
Mhm.
because what every person is the essence, essentially the essence of the universe. It's the heart and mind of God. The DNA of God is in each person.
Yeah.
And And we can honor that, or we can disgrace it.
Right.
Um, and when we behave in a way that honors it, it's win-win. And when we do the opposite, it's pretty much lose-lose.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I think that a lot of people who are using fear and deception and sort of twisting and a kind of almost like seducing people, the way some men use women for sexual gratification, the way some women use men to get the money that they need, and whatever trickery and all this shit. All of that ends up at some point going bad. It doesn't end well. But when a person comes from good faith and pure love, I think it just creates a beautiful flowering of desirable outcomes.
Yeah, I mean, faith to me is as simple as knowing the miracle of life, like an acorn becoming the oak tree, a little
Mhm.
sperm and a little bit of egg uniting together with a little embryo coming into what we are at the moment, you know? And there's this constant evolution of nothing stays the same. I mean, you even I've delivered a lot of babies. So, or I've been participating in delivery of a lot of babies. And what is so interesting is even within 2 to 3 hours of life, they look completely different.
Oh
They
yeah.
don't look anything like they did as a little teeny wrinkled newborn.
Well, and to take that a step further, what's really amazing is to look at not just human history but current events. Even someone like Elon Musk, who I think the jury is starting to kind of wonder about him
He
in
might
certain
need to
ways.
go into a mental institution.
But the thing is that what so many people throughout our history have done, what so many civilizations have done, is just this incredible creativity, this genius of making new things in ways. It's like, wow, like James Cameron's movies
Yeah.
and Michelangelo and Da Vinci, and it's like, who does that? And well, hello, these people, just like you and me, have the DNA of our creator
Yes.
in in their in their minds, in their hearts, in their spirits, and that creative genius, um, the human race is now, I think, right at the point where they can say, okay, now we get to decide: are we going to be the mad scientist that blows up the world, or are we going to be the brilliant scientist who saves the human race?
Yes. And she talks about saving the human race, saving the world. That's just really where it's at. Yes. Well, on that note, John, perhaps we should
Yes,
end this and nothing
and
ends,
and,
but
and look forward to the next time.
which is great.
Yeah,
Absolutely great.
we now have the technology, Kate, to feel well. The technology, the first part is not the technology. The first part is our human nervous system, our human bodies and souls that can absorb and cognize spiritual realities and insights that we can then disseminate to how many thousands or millions of people.
I know, and who knows? My goodness, this is all very good. It
And
expands consciousness, it expands the mind, and ultimately it's a very meaningful conversation. And you know what? We need at least, I'd say, 3 meaningful conversations every day.
okay,
or more, or less.
Sounds good. Well, for me, this has been an epiphany.
Yeah, me
Um,
too.
and I always enjoy talking to you, Kate, but I look forward to many more and to going deeper, wider, higher, not to,
And,
just, yeah,
and,
yeah. Okay, well,
okay.
we will talk again.
Okay, I'm just going to say goodbye.
Bye.